So this is what that piece looks like after you've done all of your darts. Here's my long dart and my short dart. The next thing that you're going to do, and I've already done one as an example, is you're going to attach your piece 4 to your leftover 2 piece 3s. So when you cut this out, you should have cut out 4 of them, and we already used 2 of them in the previous step 3 section. Now you're going to use the last 2 piece 3s to finish up the strap here. So I've already pinned and sewn and pressed one of those. So that is what that looks like. And now I have my other piece 4, which I will be attaching to a piece 3. And I've matched my notches here. Then I'm just going to do right sides together, pin this like so, stitch 5/8 across, and then press the seam open. So do that and come back. This is what it looks like when step 4 is finished. You should have both of your straps complete, and then they'll make this nice formed and structured look because of the interfacing. All right, so let's get the next step ready. Moving on to step 5, I've already pinned one so that you can see what it looks like. You're going to be attaching both of your straps, right sides together. So this is the piece 2 that you did earlier with the attached piece 3, and then you're going to take your piece 4, which is also attached to a piece 3, stack that right on top of that, and then you're going to be stitching around that entire perimeter. 2 things to note here: it's very important to match up your large dot here with your large dot on the other dart of your fabric as well. So match those up first. You're going to be stopping your stitching there. So you're going to stitch from here 5/8 all the way up that strap and around and coming back down. And whenever you get to your large dot, which is in the center of this dart, you're going to backstitch there and you're going to stop. Something else to note is to make sure when you are pinning your pieces together that your seams are both pressed open and that they're matched up. So before you start pinning all of this, I would actually match up your seams together first. So this seam to this seam, and that will make a prettier garment once you've finished everything. So once again, this is what that looks like once it's pinned. And I have one pin here, putting both of my large dots together. So you're going to stitch that through, stitch over the dart that you made, and you're going to back stitch there and stop. So do that for both pieces and then come back. Once you've finished that, this is what your pieces should look like. So this is what it looks like before trimming. The next thing you'll need to do, I've already done on this side so that you can see the difference. I've trimmed all of the excess fabric away. That's what this over here is. And then you want to clip your corners pretty close, so just diagonally across here without going through your stitching. And then in addition to that, you want to go through and clip these, and that's just so that your piece will curve a bit more naturally and lay more flatly against the body once your garment is done. And I've done that all the way through the interfaced section on both sides, just about once every inch or so. And then when you're done with that, flip these out so that the right side is on the outside, and we'll start the next step. Okay, at this point you should have something that looks like this. If yours doesn't quite look like this, then try to give it a good pressing, and then it should look very close to this. The next part, you're going to turn out the facing and baste the edges together. I've already done that on one of these. So this one has not been done yet. You're going to flip this seam outward, like so. And then where you have your original basting from your large dot to the small dot, you're going to match that to the line underneath. And don't worry if this overlaps. Mine overlaps a little. And then just baste that together. So I've already done that over here. So I flipped out my facings. I found the large dot to small dot stay stitch that I did before, matched it to the stay stitch on the piece underneath, and then I basted on top of that. And as you can see, my piece hangs over a little bit. That is okay, and both of mine are doing that, and I measured out everything correctly, so I'm not worried about that hanging over. So go ahead and do that and then come back for the next step. For the next step, you're going to be combining piece 1 and piece 2. So those are both those 2 long pieces that you worked with, and you're going to be matching up the large dot to the small dot. So ideally they'll look like this when they're done. Now in order to do that, we do have to go into this original stitch that we made and make it a little bit longer. So I have already done that over here with my pattern. So I went ahead and cut up here to make this a little bit easier, and they have that in the instructions to do that as well. The next thing I'm going to do that I've already partially started doing is pinning my other piece on top of it. Okay, so this is right side up. This is the place I just slashed, and then I'm putting the piece with the shoulder on top of that, and I'm going to be matching my large dot to the large dot on the wrong side of the fabric and the small dot. If you're confused on exactly where that is, another thing you can do is go down your piece and find where your notches are. So I have my notches here, and I pinned that, and then you can start pinning up, and that will help you to find exactly where that spot is. But you should be able to march up your markings. And then after you have that pinned, you're just going to baste that together. Okay, so this is what it looks like after I have done both sides of that. After you finish step 8 and you're moving to step 9, be careful whenever you're making your dart that you do realize that these are 2 different things that you have to do. So it looks like in the picture you would just sew straight down here. That is incorrect. You have your basted seam that you originally did to close this up, and then to make your dart, you're matching your markings together where you cut open, and you're sewing from the small dot through the large dot to the small dot. Do not catch in this seam. So you should leave 5/8 here. You're going to stop right at that dot that you made. Then you're going to move this out of the way, and you're going to stitch over your basting to actually close up that seam to the bottom of your dress. So 2 different steps there. Make sure that you do leave this open, and you'll see why in a minute. So I've already finished that, and I just showed you that on this side. Now you're going to take your seam here and open this out, and this is the part that I told you not to catch into your original seam that you did in step 9. So for step 10, put these 2 pieces right sides together, and I'll show you again where that is. So here's the front, flip it over, open up the lining here, and these 2 together. So right side of your inner lining to the side that is interfaced, and stitch from here to that seam and stop just right there before you go past. So that will put all of this together. Welcome back to part 2, and we're getting closer and closer to finishing up the dress. So I am now on step 10. Can you see this? There we go. Step 10. So we have a few different things we have to do here with finishing up this bust seam here, and then after you finish that seam with these 2 pieces, you'll be attaching this piece to the exterior. So let me show you that really quick, just in case it's confusing for anyone. This is the top of the dress. I'm just going to move the sleeves so that they're out of the way. There we go. So I have a bust seam here and a bust seam here, and then the lower seams that you should have finished for the first part of step 10 are right here. So I've already pinned one side so that you can more easily see the difference. You finished this seam, but before you attach it to your exterior here, they should all be separate pieces. So right now these are all pinned together, but if you go to my side before I did that, this is what you would have for the first section of number 10. So you would be putting this seam together, but it's not yet attached to anything. So you're just putting the interfaced lining side to your other right piece, and you're sewing those together, and then you stop at the dot. So we've already done that. So now the idea is to attach your wrong side of the fabric here to the wrong side of the interfacing. So there are a total of 3 different seams in here that are all getting pinned together. And when you do that, like I have over on the other side, you just want to make sure that you line up your seams first. So line up all of your seam lines and then start pinning. So I've done that over here, and what you should have left at the top after you've pinned your 3 different pieces together, you should have this one flap up here. See how it starts to change angles? So that flap should be left without anything attached to it. Okay? So pin all of those together, starting with the angle. Pin them together, match up your seams, then pin on down, and you're going to stop at this your dot that you should have already marked. So I'm going to put one more pin in right here so I know where to stop, and then I'm going to come to the sewing machine and sew that together, and I'll let you see that. Okay, so I'm now ready to stitch my bust pieces together. I've already pinned all 3 of the pieces. Now I'm just going to start where I can feel that very top piece underneath. Yeah, about here. Still have my basting stitch on. Let's try that again. I should also tell you while you're stitching this, you may want to try to include your previous stitching, so you'll want to stitch slightly to the left just so you don't have to take any of that out, because you don't want it to show in your seam after you're done. And then I'm just stitching to this needle here where I know that my dot marking is. Okay, so to there. And then I'll back stitch a little. And we're all set for this side. Now I'll move to the other side. You'll get to see a different view of that. So this one I'll stitch from the opposite side. Once again, trying to hide my previous stitching here as much as possible. And I'm going to stop at that pin because that's where my dot is. Alright. Now just go trim your ends. So trim any of those extra little threads that you have left over like that, just so it's nice and clean when you're ready for it again. And then this piece you can just set to the side for now.